When did love start feeling like a slow kind of dying? Here's the truth most men never see coming. Sometimes, it's not heartbreak that breaks you. It's staying. It's the love that looks calm on the surface, but quietly eats away at who you are. The kind that doesn't leave bruises, but leaves you questioning your worth every single day. The kind that teaches you to doubt your instincts, to apologize for your strength, to lower your voice just to be heard. It doesn't start with cruelty. It starts with softness. A sigh, a look, a tone. You start noticing that the light in her eyes when she looked at you, it's dimmer now. You tell yourself it's normal, that people change, that this is what real love looks like. Compromise, adjustment, maturity. But what if that's the lie? What if the thing you've been calling love is actually a slow process of forgetting yourself? What if every apology, every silence, every moment you swallow your truth to keep the peace is you disappearing in real time? Because this is how it happens. Not with an explosion, but with erosion. One unspoken disappointment at a time. One quiet moment of disconnection that you explain away until you can't anymore. Most men don't notice it until they're staring at a stranger in the mirror. Still breathing, still functioning, but gone. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about seeing the invisible force that's been rewriting your identity under the name of love. And once you understand how it happens, you'll never see relationships or yourself the same way again. Stay, because what you're about to hear might just wake you up from the life you didn't realize you were sleepwalking through. It never starts with something obvious. There's no explosion, no betrayal, just a small, almost invisible shift in energy. One day, the air between you feels different, but you can't explain why. You tell a story at dinner, and she doesn't smile the way she used to. You share an idea, and her silence feels heavier than words. You brush it off. People change, right? But somewhere deep down, your gut already knows this isn't just change. It's the beginning of erosion. At first, it's easy to ignore. You convince yourself it's nothing. You tell yourself you're being sensitive. But your brain doesn't lie. It remembers the tone that carried warmth and now sounds like judgment. It remembers the eyes that once looked at you with pride and now carry quiet disappointment. These small shifts start to rewrite the way you see yourself, line by line, moment by moment. You start adjusting, just a little. You soften your opinions. You laugh less loudly. You choose your words more carefully. You think you're keeping the peace, but what you're really doing is teaching yourself to shrink. Every time you hold back to avoid disapproval, a piece of you disappears. Every time you hide your edge to make her more comfortable, your reflection grows duller. What most men don't understand is that the human mind is wired for feedback. You can be powerful at work, respected by the world, but the person you come home to becomes your mirror. Her reactions become your reality. When she admires you, you feel unstoppable. When she withdraws it, your confidence quietly collapses. It's not weakness, it's biology. This is where the real danger begins. Because the manipulation isn't loud, it's not even intentional. It's in the micro-expressions, the subtle distance, the slow fading of admiration that tells your nervous system, you're not enough anymore. And once your mind accepts that story, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You stop leading, you stop shining, you start surviving. By the time you realize it, you've already rewritten your own code. And the scariest part? You did it trying to be loved. At first, you think you can fix it. You tell yourself if you just work harder, succeed more, make her proud again, things will go back to how they used to be. But that's the trap. Because the more you chase her approval, the more you lose your own center. You stop living from conviction and start performing for validation. You don't even notice the shift because it feels like love. It feels like effort. But it's actually self-erasure dressed as devotion. You start measuring your worth by her moods. When she's warm, you feel alive again. When she's cold, you feel defective. You become addicted to small doses of affection. Each compliment, each smile, a hit of dopamine you crave more than anything else. Your confidence no longer lives inside you, lives in her eyes. And when those eyes go dim, so does everything you thought you were. Over time, your mind rewires itself. The same brain that once told you could conquer anything now whispers that you're lucky she even tolerates you. You begin to censor your ambition, your humor, even your joy, because somehow it all feels like too much. You call it being considerate, but it's really submission in disguise. The saddest part is she might not even be aware of it. Most of the time, this isn't manipulation with intent, it's manipulation by instinct. A psychological dance where both people are reacting, not leading. Her disappointment triggers your insecurity triggers her contempt, and the loop feeds itself until both of you forget what admiration ever felt like. Men often tell themselves they're staying out of love or loyalty, but deep down, they stay because they no longer believe they could be valued anywhere else. That's how powerful this conditioning becomes. You start to think you deserve less simply because you've been treated like less. By then, it's not just her voice in your head, it's your own. Repeating her doubts, her tone, her silence. And once that voice takes root inside you, it doesn't need her anymore to keep you small. You'll do it all by yourself. There comes a moment when the noise inside your head becomes unbearable. The voice that once pushed you forward now whispers, only doubt. Every decision feels filtered through her approval. Every thought passes through her gaze. And one day, something inside you snaps. Not in anger, but in awareness. You realize that you've been living like a man on mute. Still moving, still functioning, but not really existing. You've been asking for permission to be yourself, waiting for validation that never comes. That's the breaking point. Not rage, not heartbreak, but the quiet moment you finally see how far you've drifted from who you used to be. You start remembering things you forgot you loved, the way you used to laugh without restraint, the way you used to take risks without apology, the way your eyes lit up when you had a vision, even if no one else believed in it. For the first time in years, you realize those parts of you never died. They were just buried under someone else's perception. That realization is both painful and liberating. Painful because you see how much of yourself you've sacrificed to be accepted. Liberating because you finally understand that the power to rebuild doesn't come from her, it comes from you. You begin to notice the small things differently. Her criticism no longer feels like truth, it feels like projection. Her silence no longer defines you, it defines her distance. And as that awareness grows, something in your energy shifts. You stop chasing peace and start creating it. You stop proving your worth and start protecting it. This is the moment when men begin to reclaim themselves, not through revenge, not through anger, but through clarity. You see the manipulation for what it is, a reflection of her own fears, and for the first time, you stop participating in your own erosion. It's not easy. You'll still feel the pull to explain, to fix, to earn her warmth again. But the difference now is this: you finally know what's yours and what never was. The moment you stop waiting for permission, everything changes. You begin to see that power isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. You were powerful before anyone validated you. You were worthy before anyone approved of you. You just forgot. Taking yourself back doesn't start with anger, it starts with boundaries. You begin to say no to things that drain you, no to conversations that belittle you, no to versions of love that make you feel small. And with every no, a part of you comes back to life. At first it feels strange, even wrong. You've spent so long trying to be agreeable that self-respect feels like rebellion. But slowly, you begin to understand. Peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict. It comes from refusing disrespect. You stop chasing validation and start nurturing purpose. You return to the things that make you feel alive. Your craft, your body, your ambition, your silence. You reconnect with the man who doesn't need constant approval to feel grounded. You realize that strength was never lost. It was just hidden under years of trying to be understood by someone who no longer saw you clearly. And something beautiful happens when you rise like that. The world begins to respond differently. People treat you with the same energy you project. You stop attracting chaos because you no longer live in it. You start attracting respect because you've made it your standard. That's what reclaiming yourself truly means. It's not about walking away from her, it's about walking back to you. The version of you that leads, that loves deeply but never begs for love in return. The version that knows peace is found in truth, not submission. And once you find that man again, you protect him with everything you have. Because now you know, losing yourself is easy. Rebuilding yourself, that's sacred. There comes a point when you realize peace isn't something you stumble into, it's something you build. Brick by brick, boundary by boundary, truth by truth. And once you've rebuilt it, you'll never let anyone take it from you again. You start seeing relationships differently. You stop asking, does she love me? And start asking, do I love who I become when I'm with her? Because that's the real test. The right connection doesn't shrink you. It sharpens you. It doesn't drain you. It drives you. You learn that admiration isn't optional. Respect isn't negotiable. And love without both will always rot from the inside out. You understand now that how a woman sees you will shape how you see yourself. That's why you choose someone whose eyes remind you of your strength, not your shortcomings. You no longer settle for half-hearted affection or quiet contempt disguised as care. You recognize that a woman's approval is powerful, but your self-respect is sacred. And when forced to choose between the two, you'll always choose yourself. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. Because real love doesn't require you to disappear. It amplifies who you are. It challenges you, yes, but from a place of belief, not blame. It inspires growth without guilt. It gives without keeping score. You finally understand. The greatest relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with your own identity. Everything else should add to it, not replace it. So if you're listening to this right now and you feel that pull, that quiet voice reminding you that you've been living smaller than you are, listen to it. Because that voice isn't weakness. It's your strength trying to come home. And when you answer that call, you stop chasing love that costs you yourself. You start living with a new standard. One built on respect, clarity, and truth. Because once you choose yourself, really choose yourself, you'll never be invisible again. No one is coming to rescue you from the quiet version of yourself you've become. No one will hand you back the fire you lost. You have to take it. You have to decide that peace built on silence isn't peace at all. It's slow decay disguised as love. Choosing yourself doesn't mean walking away from others. It means walking back to truth. The kind of truth that doesn't beg, doesn't shrink, doesn't apologize for existing. Because the world doesn't respect the man who hides behind comfort. It respects the man who stands tall in clarity. even when it costs him everything familiar. If you've forgotten your worth, remember it now. If you've been quiet too long, speak again. And if you've been waiting for permission, this is it. You were never meant to live small. You were meant to lead, to create, to rise. The moment you stop seeking validation and start protecting your energy, your entire life changes. So start here, with one decision: to stop disappearing, to rebuild your voice, to remember who you were before you forgot. Because once you choose yourself, fully, fearlessly, you'll stop surviving love that costs you your identity and start living a life that honors it. If this message hit something inside you, don't ignore it. Share it. Sit with it. And then do the one thing most men never do: act on it. Because the man you're meant to be is still waiting for you to come home.